Okay. So I'm so excited to have Jenise Fernandez with us today, and we just shared, I was going to say in the green room, but we're not in the green, oh actually we are in a green room.
It's green.
It is kind of green. How I became one of your biggest fans.
Thank you.
When we were co-judges at a local Miami pageantry. And so it was anyway, your whole vibe and your energy and just the way that you maneuver through challenges from what I've seen is just so graceful and lovely.
And I loved her too, by the way.
Yeah, good. It was like
I was like, oh my gosh, this is like boss babe, like total like epitome of like mom who can handle it all. I'm like, I love this person.
Aw, thank you, Jenise. Well, for those of you that don't know, you are a 5-time Emmy Award winning journalist with the #1 TV station in South Florida. I was going to ask you a little bit also about your background. You're from Miami.
Yes, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Cuban parents, so whole family came from Cuba, but I was born here, so I'm part of the many first generation born in Miami. So as I'm sure some people can attest, growing up in a Cuban household, I always joke it's like Pasa USA, where you're like, am I American, am I Cuban, what am I? I'm confused. It's like Thanksgiving we have a turkey and mashed potatoes, but there's also like, you know, frijoles, and I'm like, I don't know, what am I? I'm confused.
Yeah, I think we're all, and I graduated from Florida International University as well, so I'm so happy to see that and your background. And and Miami-Dade Community College, which I don't think you went there.
I didn't, but I know a lot of people who did. I'm like a big advocate. They have a great honors program.
They really do. A lot of the kids, I know Dr. Tanya's probably knows all about that as well. That's her jam.
A CNN correspondent went to Miami-Dade. Yes, Boris. He's like actually big time, and he's like a big, proud like Miami-Dade. Grew up in Hialeah. Like it's a great story. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm Miami proud.
I know, Miami proud.
I love that. So I wanted to ask you, what was that moment in your childhood where you realized you wanted to do what you're doing now? Do you remember having that aha moment, saying that's what I want to be?
Oh yeah. I was one of those kind of special kids who knew really early on what I wanted to do. But growing up, I grew up in a really well-informed household, I think is a good way to put it, in the sense that I would wake up in the mornings, I would put on Good Morning America, and that's when Diane Sawyer was on, and she was just, perfect to me. And then my dad would also hand me the front page of the Miami Herald, and it was sort of his way of keeping us informed, but also I love to read. So in the mornings, I love to just kind of read through the paper, read through the stories, and he and I would talk about what's going on. And it was sort of funny because my brother and my sister had no interest. They're like, where are the cartoons? Give me the cereal box so I can play the games. But I was so not like that at all. So I always had a love for writing. I always loved reading. I was always very curious, as my mom would say, a little bit too much of an investigator. I was the kind of kid growing up that when my mom said I couldn't have something, I'd say, well, why? Like, give me a reason. Like, why? I don't get it. But it was when I was 12, and it was in 6th grade, and it was career day. Actually, it was 7th grade. It was career day, 7th grade. And I remember for a long time, my parents had been pushing, I think this is like very typical immigrant family. They're like, go to law school. Law school's where you want to go. Like, law school's going to be great. You love to talk and argue. Like, that's for you, for sure. So I kind of had it in my head, like, okay, I think I'm going to be a lawyer. Like, I think that's what I'm going to be. But career day comes around, and I'm so excited. And the attorney comes in, and he starts talking about what he does in his day. And I remember just like starting off like really excited, and then just my face. And I could feel the energy of my body and thinking to myself, oh my gosh, am I going to spend the rest of my life doing this? This doesn't sound like something I want to do. Like, this is not it. And I was just total freak out mode. I mean, being 12 and thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Right. But that's just sort of the mentality I've always had growing up. Like, I knew I was going to go to college. I knew I was going to get a career. And then one after the other, the doctor comes in, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. There's no way I can operate on people, blood. Like, that's not my thing. The vet comes in. I love animals, but like, no. Business and
that's
everything.
A great array of professions.
Oh, we had great professions. Like, it was amazing. And I appreciated everything that everybody brought to the table, but nothing I thought was me. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, this woman comes in with the Miami Herald, and she opens up the paper, and she says, every morning you look at the front page of this, and I'm going to tell you how I got this story on the front page. And then she went through her day and how, she starts her day by 5 p.m. She had to be filed in, ready to print so that it would make the front page the next morning. And everything she said sounded like the most exciting thing I'd ever heard in my life. I thought, I love writing, I love working on a deadline, I love pressure, all of that. And I said, this is it. Like, I want to be a journalist. We're done. Like, game over. I went home that night and I said, I know what I want to do. I want to be a journalist. Parents said, I don't think so. Maybe not. But I was very firm and defiant, and I said, nope, this is what I want to do. And I actually wanted to get into the newspaper route at first. And it wasn't until I was in college and started taking the upper level classes, and one of my professors said, you know, I really think you should think about the broadcast route. And I said, oh my gosh, I actually did say this. I said, they're just pretty faces. They don't actually, report. They don't know what they're doing. He kind of looked at me and he said, okay, you know what? I want you to do something for me. Go get an internship at a TV station. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But like, just go. Like, I really think you're gonna like it.
That's amazing. What a great mentor.
Oh, he was the best. It's Professor Rice and I we're still in contact. He's amazing. Like, he totally guided my career in such a great way. And then I got an internship actually at Channel 10, which is where I work now. And I remember the first day seeing just the pace of the newsroom, and I really had no idea like how much work goes into it. Like, of course we see the women and the men on TV, they look great, they sound great, but I mean, these are people who are writing their own stories, they're getting the interviews, they're pitching the stories, and just to see this whole process come together, I was a goner. I went back to class and I said, you know what, Professor, you were right. This is exactly what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And
that's a beautiful, and the power of just one person changed the trajectory of your life.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's so beautiful, that whole entire story, but I love that aspect of like one person. If he had not said that to you, where would you be?
I wonder that a lot, because he was just, and it was so funny because he was kind of this like hippie professor, and it was weird that we got along because we had very different personalities. Yeah. But he would, get outside the classroom before class. I would get there early and he'd be taking his like cigarette break, and I would just go and just like chat him up. Like, I didn't smoke, but it was just kind of funny because he's just there like kind of that typical like newsman with the cigarette and the coffee, and I would just want to like pick his brain and like know his knowledge, and he did newspaper writing his whole career and then ended up being a professor, and to this day I tell everybody my favorite professor. Whenever I go back to FIU, I tell them all, like the dean, I'm like, Professor Reisner's the best. Like, this guy was the guy for me, just awesome.
Shout out to all the teachers also, right?
Yeah.
You know how many of other kids and humans have had huge monumental shifts in their life because one person said one sentence.
Literally, it could be just one little sentence, and that's,
and that changes everything.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to ask you, because we met and I saw you handle a mansplainer, and so I know you are incredibly intelligent and bright and talented and gorgeous. So I'm sure you've had I feel like the more success women have in life, the more challenges and the more struggles and the more haters come around. And that's a huge thing. I know with some of our FEMS, they're scared to step into the spotlight because of the haters that are out there. What will someone say? What will someone, So I would love to hear from you, because I'm sure you probably encounter it daily. What were some of the struggles that you had when it comes to that, and how did you kind of like rework it so you could keep on moving forward? And my intention in asking that is so that women, when they do have someone who posts something that's a hater comment on their social media, that they can also empower your energy to move forward and kind of discount that.
And I will say, I don't blame them for being nervous about stepping in the spotlight and dealing with that, because I have to say, since I've started my career, social media really took off. Yeah. So this was stuff that they didn't really prepare you for in school or even your internship. It's just stuff that I've kind of navigated along the way. And even sometimes I look at my Instagram and I think, oh my gosh, like that many people follow me, and I'm like, why? But welcome.
Because you're amazing.
But I'm like, all are welcome on my page. Come and join. And so I find, first of all, a hater is, at the end of the day, a bully. Yeah. They are a bully. And just like how we dealt with bullies in the playground, it's the same way that I deal with haters now. But I think that they're so much worse because they can hide behind a computer, they can hide behind their phone, and they feel like they can say whatever they want without there being a consequence to it. They could just say whatever they want. And so I like to say that there's different kinds of haters. And the first hater is the one who can be converted. And I say this because I get really weird criticism for my job. And sometimes people write to me and they don't like a story I did, and that is their right to not like it. Especially if it's anything with politics, maybe they didn't like the way I said it. And those type of haters, they'll say some things and sometimes they'll name call, but I'll just you know, if I get an email or message, I'll write back and I'll say, listen, like, you have your opinion, that's totally fine, but here are the facts.
Yeah.
So I'm simply reporting what the facts are. You're allowed to form your opinion, but don't be upset that this is in fact a fact. It is what it is, and as we know, a lot of people try to say, well, you know, alternative facts or whatever.
Right.
So those people, it's just about educating them, and if they choose not to take it, they choose not to take it. But I like to defend my work, so that's something I always do. The other type of haters that I find really interesting are the ones who will email you and say things about your hair, your makeup, how you dress, which I think is so funny to me at this point. Like, you sort of laugh about it because you're like, wow, there's so much going on in the world, and you're really concerned with like what I wear on TV.
Wow.
But in one case, I remember this one viewer wrote me an email, and he said, you look so inappropriate today. Like, what are you doing, going to a cocktail party, honey? And I remember the honey was so like condescending to me. I kind of cringed when I saw it, and I was like, ooh. But you know what? I was like, you know what? It's fine. And the short answer, the way I deal with haters is I clap back. The way that a bully, you stand up to a bully, and you don't have to be mean about it, but like, you hit them with facts and you hit them with class. That's what I always say, facts and class. And so I wrote back to him and I said, a cocktail party sounds like so much fun. I would totally rather be there than be at work. And I said, by the way, my mom bought me this dress and I really love it and I plan on wearing it again. Thank you so much for watching. Which is like one thing I'll tell you on TV, when we say thank you so much for watching, it's kind of our way of saying like screw you. It's like, all right, thank you so much. I almost want to write a book called Thank You So Much for Watching.
I think you should
like,
totally
just
write
put
that
in like
down.
everything that's
I totally think you should.
And so, and the funny thing is, when you clap back, they totally cower. He wrote back to me and he said, Jenise, I watch you every day. I didn't think you were gonna read this or even write back. And I'm actually like a really big fan of yours. It's just today I just didn't like what you wore. And I wrote back and I said, you know, you're entitled to your opinion, but sometimes you could just keep your opinion to yourself. I'm just trying to do my job. And now I'll get random little messages from him, just like little like thumbs up emoji or like, you look great today, or whatever the case may be. But it's kind of funny. So I say that's like a hater that can be converted just by kind of like hitting them back. Now this guy feels like he owes me, I guess, a lot of kindness, which is fine. I welcome kindness.
Yeah.
So it's sort of funny. You know, on Instagram, whenever someone says something or posts something, I have this group chat, and it's five of us women, and we're all really close, and we're all kind of in the news business. I have 2 out in LA who work in sports, so that's a whole other issue. I mean, another one who does entertainment here, and another one who like runs her own social media company. So the 5 of us, we call ourselves the Spice Girls. We have a group chat. It's literally like, we kind of joke that it's like the Mean Girls Burn book. We're like, put it in the book, honey. What are you feeling today? And whenever like I get a comment on Instagram that someone's like really coming at me, I like will text them, and it's almost like, all right, sending in the soldiers, sending in the troops, and then they'll start writing back to that person, and before you know it, this person like deletes their comment, like blocks you from Instagram, because now they're scared. Now they're like, oh my gosh, not only is Jenise coming at me, but like her army is coming at you. But the one thing that with haters that's hard, those type of haters are fine, but I will say that, you know, my first job in this business, I worked in Lafayette, Louisiana, a very small town. And then my second job, I was in Pensacola, which is the Florida-Alabama border. So as you can imagine, being this South Florida Latina woman, this was a whole different world for me. The hardest type of hater is the one that actually has hate in their heart. And I remember I got an email once when I was working in the Deep South, as I like to call it. And it was one of the first hate mails I ever got. And it said, get on a boat and go back where you came from, you stupid spit. And that is like, and in those cases, you know, of course you could write back, of course you could say something, but for me in that moment, all I can think is, okay, so you don't even criticize my work, you don't even criticize how I look, like you innately hate who I am as a person, like you hate who I am, like you think I don't belong, you think that I'm not an American, you think whatever you think, like the hate in your heart, I'm not gonna be able to get rid of that. So in those cases, I would report to management, or if it's on social media, I'll inform Twitter, Instagram, get their accounts removed. Because at that point, it's like, what can you say to this person is going to change their, you know, what they have in their heart innately as a person. And I'm like, you know what? You just don't deserve to be on this platform, so we're going to get your account removed.
Yeah. Going back to the bullying, I love how you connected haters being really bullies in real life, because we all know. I think everyone I know has been bullied at some point in their life. I was bullied in seventh grade. We did many years ago a Girl Scout kind of session. We had a bullying situation on a little Girl Scout troop, and our psychiatrist that we hired to teach the girls how to handle bullies was very similar to what you just said.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So in essence, if you have one or two people that can just sit with you, so if someone's being bullied, if you don't have to say anything, you can just sit next to them. Ooh. And it diffuses because all of a sudden the balance is off. And so I love that you are doing that with your Spice Girl group.
Yeah, they're the best.
Because at the end of the day, that's what makes people like, it kind of throws
strength
off
in numbers.
its strengths in numbers. And so that was such a great tip. And I do that now, like whenever I'm in a public setting and I see someone, like you can, it's easy just to stand right by that person. You don't even have to talk to them. Just standing there makes it so that they feel empowered.
Oh yeah, it changes the tone completely.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that tip. So for everyone out there, create your Spice Girl.
Get your Spice Girl group chat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or your FEMS. I mean, you can just go ahead and create and say, hey, you know what? We're going to post on each other's and comments. And it helps your algorithms too. The more people that comment.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So it all works.
It all works out. It all helps. So I had all these questions I wanted to ask.
It's okay. Ask anything you want.
We're running out of time, but what did it feel like winning your first Emmy? Like, what was that like?
Oh, I got my first Emmy after working in Miami for about a year. So I had already been in the business for about 5 years at this point, and I had worked in these small towns. Finally made it back to my hometown, working at the station. I interned and grew up watching. So it felt like this full circle moment.
Yeah.
Kind of like that mic drop. Like, I did it, mic drop,
Yeah.
I got it. But honestly, the best part of it was the ceremony was in Orlando. My parents got to go, so they got to see me win my first Emmy, and that was just really cool and really special. Because in all fairness, they've been extremely supportive of everything I did, but they were confused in the beginning on why I wanted to do this career. So they've had to learn along the way. Being immigrants, they kind of didn't understand it. They're like, we don't really get this. Like, why do you have to move to this small town? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? So they learned along the way, and they've been so supportive. So for them, being able to be there with them, and they could see, hey, the sacrifices, they were worth it. Like, look what I've been able to do. So that was really cool.
Aww.
Yeah, I know they're the best. They come to everything. They're so great.
I got chills even before you started sharing. I already got chills. I'm like, I know it's gonna be good. I already have chills. All right, so final advice that you have for women who are looking at up-leveling. Perhaps they're going through some sort of narrative in their mind that's holding them back. I see that over and over again. I mean, I've been doing FemCity now for 13, 14 years, so I know this is a constant. And seeing you in such a huge success, and I think you're just kind of keep on soaring. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but maybe good morning America.
I don't know either. We'll see.
Yeah, but to get your mindset to be where it is right now, uber successful. I'm sure you've had to tackle some sort of narratives. What advice would you give for women who are either pivoting or changing or find themselves at the bottom and they want to get to the top again? What's that go-to inspiration that you can give them to move forward?
You know what? The biggest thing I can say, and I think the best advice I ever got, it was when I was going through this really hard personal time when I was living in Pensacola, and I was trying to balance dealing with my personal emotions, like things that were going on in my personal life, with trying to really succeed in this career. And I remember a friend of mine who's also in this business, and it's Lorena Estrada. She works at Channel 7 here. She's a really great girl. And I remember I was on the phone with her one day just telling her, I'm lost. I'm trying to balance my career and stuff that I'm going through. She said, you know what, Jenise? At the end of the day, no matter what you're going through, just don't lose your focus. Just don't lose your focus. Always keep that in your forefront. There's everything else is just background noise. Background noise, it is what it is. Let it be, but your focus is always where you want to go straight ahead. And I think, I thought a lot about this with some of the questions we were going to talk about. And with women, one of the biggest things I can say is don't be afraid to speak up. And I think that since we were young, since we were coming out of the womb, we've been told to be quiet and to be, kind and gentle and not to speak up. And I'm like, no, speak up, speak really loud. Yeah. And you know what? Don't let anyone tell you that you can't advocate for yourself in any capacity of life, whether it's work, relationships, health. No, speak up. When it comes to, one thing I'm really passionate about is pay gap. It's something that drives me crazy, of course. But I always tell women, like, talk about what you make, talk to each other, because the only people you're helping by staying quiet about your salary are the bosses. They don't want you to know what the person next to you is making, because that's how they get you. And and then working with men who make double what you make, but you do triple of the work that they do. Like, all of that, you speak up. And sometimes your voice is going to shake. Sometimes it's going to be really loud and powerful, but I just always say, speak up, because staying silent is not helping yourself and it's not helping anybody else. So that's just been throughout my career, and it's, trust me, I come across tough, but I have days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to like talk to my boss about this, and I'm freaking out and I'm nervous. Like the other day, you just kind of just say, like, you know what, put your big girl pants on and go right in, because you have a right to be where you are. Like, I have a right to be here, I have a right to this career, and I have a right to ask, and I have a right to say what I feel. And I think we all do. So that's the biggest advice for women. Don't lose your focus. Always speak up. Don't let anybody silence you.
Eye the prize. So, and I know that you're also very passionate about women empowerment and women initiatives, which is one of my favorite things about you as well. And I love that you mentioned that, because when we share those stories and when we speak out, generally we're speaking and we're allowing other women to be heard as well. Like, I find that that's a place where no one is saying anything. As soon as you become that one voice, it opens up the gates for everybody else to be heard, and also to feel safe and secure and to stepping into that light. So it's almost like collectively, as we increase our volume, it helps other women also gather the strength to have their shaky voice as well. So, well, thanks so much for joining us today. This is amazing. And enjoy your breakfast now and your coffee. And then for those that are, please follow Jenise Fernandez over on Instagram. She's got a great Instagram account there as well. And thank you for all the work that you do in our community. I know it's a grueling and a tough job to put the stories together.
But it's the best. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Right. Yay!